everyone, and welcome to the discussion of Group 3 on the HBR case study, How Global Companies Win Out. We will start our discussion today with the key business management concepts, followed by the global entry strategies available for a company when they want to go global, and also we'll touch base on the ownership strategies and of course exit strategies available to such companies. And we will deep dive into the HBR case study and look at 3 companies who have succeeded in going global and competing globally. One is Caterpillar, which is a global construction equipment manufacturer. Second, Honda, which is an automobile company. And thirdly, Ericsson, which deals in the manufacturing of components for the telecommunication industry. Then we will round off the discussion with our recommendation for a Sri Lankan brand to go global. So to start off, we are looking at the key management concepts in 3 areas: strategy, marketing, as well as finance. So if we look at the strategies for a company to go global, first they must understand whether the company, the industry they are in, have the right characteristic to favor global competition. They must identify whether they have the potential to gain economies of scale if they go global. Will going global support high level of R&D which is required, and whether they will give efficiencies and effectiveness of transport or importing costs, reduce importing costs, and whether going global enable innovating effectively within that industry. So if you look at the 3 companies, they all 3 perceive the competition for them as global, and they formulated their strategy accordingly to be an integrated worldwide strategy, not location by location. So it's a worldwide strategy. So the integrated global strategy enabled CAT to have a competitive advantage in cost and operational effectiveness. And for Ericsson, their strategy was innovation. They innovated a modular technology that introduced electronics to small telephone systems at a time of global change in the industry. And for Honda, of course, it was economies of scale through their centralized manufacturing and logistics platforms. So if you look at marketing, none of the 3 companies went with a world product, one single product. They all accommodated local differences without sacrificing on production costs. And thirdly, they leverage on their global position in one market to strengthen a global position in another market. That's how they played the market. They did not have weak markets. They used the strength of one position to leverage onto the other markets. Then if you look at financing, the conventional approach to financing does not work when you want to go into global competition, to go globally. You have to have less mechanical approach to project evaluation, which means it's not always about the ROI being positive. It can be 0 or minus if it's going to give you a competitive advantage. So global firms developed 2 levels of financial controls in these scenarios. One is to have profit and cost centers for self-contained projects, and secondly to have strategy center for tracking interdependent efforts and competitors' performance and reactions. So the approach is to take less time to execute your global strategy and take more time to evaluate the return on investments. That is the finance approach. And if you look at funding these global operations or projects, at initial stages, a firm must use its retained earnings to build and defend its global position. Then, when a firm goes global with slow growth, it must first focus on distributing its retained earnings across the corporation and use other mechanisms like loans and debts to finance other projects elsewhere. So if you look at the three players, Caterpillar, they invested on few large-scale state-of-the-art component manufacturing facilities to fulfill world demand. For Ericsson, they invested in developing countries and small European markets as well, with the use of same switching systems. Then Honda, they invested on the distribution network to ensure they have a wide distribution, get economies of scale, and they backed it up with generous warranty and service support. To take you through the global entry strategies available to companies which want to go global, and also to talk to you briefly on the ownership and exit strategies, I will now hand you over the session to Jude. Thank you.
Thank you, Samanthi. For a firm to enter into global market, there are two strategies. One is exporting, one is foreign production. In exporting, we have direct and indirect. In direct exporting, a firm sells its goods or service through a domestic intermediary. And in direct exporting, what happens? The goods and services are sold through a foreign agent or through a foreign distributor who acts as a foreign intermediary for the local firm. And if you see the advantages of exporting is the knowledge of the foreign market lies upon with the foreign intermediary who knows the in and out of the market, and the firm has the potential of increasing its sales in foreign countries, and again it can reduce potential risk of operating overseas. And if you see the limitations, the lack of control over overseas agents is a major limitation, whereas company will not have a control over the marketing strategies, communication strategies of their brand in overseas market. And again, they have to still compete with the local competitors in their foreign markets, so who have already established their brands. And then these companies in exporting, they will not have practical understanding about the local market of that foreign country. And if you see if you see the second strategy, the foreign production, we have 5 options to go under foreign production strategy. One is licensing, whereas you give your licensing rights to a third party in a foreign country with the rights of commercial purpose. So to use your brand to be sold in another country. And if you see the franchising, a company might sell its rights to a domestic franchisor to conduct commercial activity by a foreign franchisee, so that what happens, all your brand, your interior designs, all aspects related to your product will be sold through an agreement to a foreign franchisee. And then we have a contract manufacturing, whereas you will an interdependent company producing goods in accordance with an international firm, whereas he comes to your country and enter into a contract to produce your products through contract manufacturing. Assembly plant, and the other entry strategy is an assembly plant. Assembly plant, what happens, whatever the parts manufactured across the globe are being transported to one place, and there the final product assembly happens, so that it will reduce your transportation cost and custom costs. And then full integrated production entry strategy under foreign production is what happens. A firm goes abroad, goes to an international market and establishes a fully owned, fully scaled integrated production unit in that foreign country to do the end-to-end product processing. And if you see the advantages of foreign production, it helps a firm to enter into difficult markets which are already difficult for them to enter, and then the parent company has the liberty to spend more on research and development, and it has very low startup cost to go to a foreign production in foreign production methods. And then the limitations will be a firm will have very in terms of practical understand, they'll have very little knowledge about the local competitors in the foreign market, and it will be difficult for them to maintain the quality which is being expected by the local market in the foreign country. And then again, it will be very difficult to accommodate the policies and local standards in those foreign markets to their own production and the way of operating due to various reasons. And for a firm to go global, we have discussed how a foreign company go global, but then for you to enter into that country, a firm should have certain ownership strategies, whereas a firm can go as a fully owned subsidiary, whereas a firm establishes a plant in a country as a fully owned subsidiary of the parent company, and then again they can enter as joint ventures, whereas you join hands with a company in a foreign country so that you make a joint venture between your company and the foreign company, and then you can have strategic alliance. This particular method is widely used by the companies in the same industries and in different markets, so that they can have the competitive advantage of doing the same thing more effectively. And then the final ownership strategy is mergers and acquisitions. This is a very common but very costly activity, whereas you merge with a foreign company under a new brand, or you go and acquire a forein company so that you can have the ownership strategy, so that you have the market entry in that way. And again, due to various reasons, there will be times, or there will be requirements that you should exit from your market due to low profitability, political reasons, and environmental reasons, and due to many reasons, the company might have to pull out from the market. So the three common strategies to exit the markets are sale of the company, or spin-off. You sell off your existing company and create a new company in the same market, or you sell the ownership, the shares to your ownership of your company to employees through share buyback option. So these are the market entry strategy, ownership strategy, and exit strategy a company has in order to operate in a global manner. I will hand over the next session to Dinusha to discuss about the practical application of these entry strategies with regards to HBR case study. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. Since Jude has taken you through the theory part of entry strategies, let's discuss the application part of the entry strategies, which is mentioned in the HBR case study. To start with, the Caterpillar has adopted assembly entry strategy, and they have a centralized production with assembly plants in each of its major markets. This has helped them to adapt products to local market requirements. The assembly approach reduced transportation cost, otherwise incurred if transporting huge equipments. Setting up assembly parts enabled them to become a direct participant in local economies. And when you consider Honda, they have adopted franchising entry strategy. Now, they investment in distribution network of 2,000 dealerships and retail missionaries. The network was further strengthened through generous warranty and service support. Honda ensured that quick spare parts were made available with their franchisees. Franchising model of entry was also backed up by a consistent marketing message. Also, the case study talks about Ericsson, and in that, the entry strategy of full-scale integrated production. They moved their electro-switching production to least developed countries to take advantage of cheap labor. This also enabled the company to respond to government demands, to source locally, hence was seen as a friend rather than a threat to the local market. We also recommend a Sri Lankan brand to go global. To take you through the next slides, let me hand you over to Sujit. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinusha. Based on theories and practical application that we have learned under global entry strategies, we have identified a local Sri Lankan brand that has potential to go global. For that, we have chosen Melbourne. We believe Melbourne has that potential. As Samanthi correctly pointed out in her presentation, the industries to grow global, industries should have right characteristics to favor global competition. What are these characteristics? It should achieve economics of scale, and also it should support high level of R&D, and also it should have transport or importing transport and importing costs can be optimized through global operation, and also it should enable the company to innovate effectively. So here we have chosen Melbourne as the brand that can go global. But how Melbourne can go global? We believe Melbourne should have to establish foreign production. This foreign production has to be established through full-scale integrated production. But where it should establish this production, we believe it should establish it in Jebel Ali Free Zone in UAE. Why we have chosen UAE? Because it has certain facilities that can leverage the Melbourne business activities. So what are these facilities? UAE is a major trading hub, and also it has lenient free zone facilities, and also it is a major aviation hub, and also it has transportation convenience, and also it has a major supermarket chains and also retailers such as Carrefour, then Lulu and Almaya, and also Spinny. Apart from this, Melbourne can go to contract manufacturing that can improve the economics of scale. By doing so, Melbourne can target nearly 1.4 Sri Lankan population who is living in the Middle East region. This 1.4 million population is nearly equal to 7.5% of the total population in Sri Lanka. This is a pretty good market segment to consider. So by winning this market segment, we believe Melbourne can even win the other local market segments in the Middle East region. So we believe if Melbourne can succeed in the Middle East, surely they can think about further expansion into the larger markets such as Europe and America, and also other markets in the world. Thank you.